Hello, this is Doug Gerlach, President of ICLUBcentral. Welcome to our very special webinar on making the switch to myIClub.com, a presentation that's designed to help you migrate your investment club accounting from Club Accounting 3 to the world's most popular website for investment club accounting and operations at myIClub.com. There is a handout for tonight's presentation. In the handouts tab, there'll be a slide deck there of all of the presentation slides from our presentation, as well as some other tips, documents, and quick start guides. So we suggest that you download those and save them for future reference, and they'll also be available when we archive this presentation. Tonight, I'll be joined by Russell Malley, who is our club accounting advisor at ICLUBcentral, responsible for many of the more technical problems that investment club treasurers face, and Sean Pulrang, who leads up our support team for the ICLUBcentral family of investment club products and tools. And I'm Doug Gerlach, the president of ICLUBcentral, and in fact, the original product manager of Club Accounting 3 for Windows when it was released way back in 2006. But tonight we're talking about myIClub, and we hope in this webinar to introduce the key features of the program, help you to migrate to myIClub from Club Accounting 3. We'll also talk about the options for help and support that you could find at myiclub.com, and we'll do our best to answer any questions you might have about the program. Now, before we delve into myiclub.com, I wanted to review the status of the Club Accounting 3 for Windows program. We ended sales in 2016. We saw the writing on the wall. We realized that it may not be viable in the future to continue to support a Windows program, given the Microsoft framework and the direction it was headed in. So we ended sales in 2016. On April 1st of this year, 2021, we stopped renewing Club Accounting 3 maintenance agreements, and now we are encouraging users to migrate to myiclub.com before September 30th, 2021, in advance of the end of support date of December 31st, 2021. After that date, we will no longer provide downloadable prices or technical support for the program. But the reason we encourage you to migrate before September 30th is that this will give you time to get used to the program before you embark on preparing your club's 2021 federal and state tax returns. We don't want you having to manage to the tax deadlines at the same time that you're getting to know the myIClub program. So we're encouraging all of the clubs using Club Accounting 3 to switch over to myIClub before September 30th, 2021. So let me tell you now what is myiclub.com all about. This is a cloud-based online private website for investment clubs that handles the investment club accounting using the unit valuation system, and as a number of other operations needs in terms of communications, file storage, portfolio management, all wrapped up into one subscription product. We started the myIClub tool back in 2001 when it was known as NAIC Online Club Accounting, and we have continuously updated it with new features and functionality along the way. In addition to the accounting components, we offer optional support for e-filing of your IRS required annual tax returns, and we provide tax printer modules for 15 states, and many of those, an increasing number of those, in fact, are now supported with e-filing. Also of note, the program is designed to be secure and preserve the privacy of your members and your club transactions. The website uses the standard TLS 2.1 encryption method for all connections, and all of the data that's stored on our servers is encrypted, and that includes files. So we actually encrypt any files that you might store in the file storage area of your website, as well as tax returns. Clubs have the option to not store your social security numbers if members object to that. It does complicate your tax filing a little bit because those are required to be transmitted to the IRS, but we do provide that option and a way to work around it. Now, one difference that's key between myIClub and Club Accounting 3 is that on myIClub, each member has his or her own login and password to access the site. There's no shared credentials. The treasurer has his or her own login and password. When the treasurer changes, the password and login remain with that member, and the new member simply becomes the new treasurer. So clubs control access to the website by their members, as well as all of the privileges of officers and members. We'll talk a little bit about that, but that's really key. It means that you can identify who is the secretary and what tasks the secretary is charged with undertaking. You can assign the treasurer tasks, you can assign the president, the recruiting, the portfolio management, all of those different tasks can be assigned on the website. Now, we also support two-factor authentication, known as TFA or two-step authentication for all users. If you desire, you can turn that on in your account as well. That just adds one more level of protection so that no one can steal a member's login and have access to the website. We have more on our data security and privacy policies, and you will see those in the footer of the website if you want more technical details. So you can check out at the myIClub website if any members have questions, see the privacy policy and the data security policy statement there for more details. So as I mentioned, on the website, one of the key features is the ability to control who has access to what features on the site. You'll hear us refer to the administrator. This is simply a super user, the member who has privileges to the entire site for the club. They can delete the club, they can add members, they can enter transactions, delete transactions, etc. You can have multiple administrators, but we don't suggest that you have more than 2 or 3. It's a good idea to have a backup administrator at the least, but there's no need to give too many people that kind of control over your club. That administrator gets to add and remove members and change the privileges of other users in your club. Always has to have at least one administrator. So if that person withdraws from the club, before you process that withdrawal, you would have to create a new administrator in the club. We refer to the treasurer. This is a member who has privileges to enter accounting information, to enter, delete, edit all of the accounting transactions, and only a member with the treasurer privileges can do those tasks. The rest of the members can view the information, but they cannot change it. A member is someone who has access to the designated member sections of the website. We also support guests, so you can have a non-member who visits the website, who may be a potential member, who has limited access to the club's website, less access than a member, but it gives them a sense of what the club is all about. We have no special designation for officers. You can set the role in their member profile to indicate who is what officer, but the privileges that you grant to a member really are based on how you define officers in this new online world. Who gets to upload files to the library and delete files in your file storage area? Who gets to add items to the calendar? Who gets to undertake other aspects of the club's business? So the People tab on the site is where you'll see the members, the administrators, and the treasurers, and you can do all of the management there. So that's really key, because this is a different way of thinking about your club and working with it from the Club Accounting 3, where the treasurer is sitting at the computer handling it all. In this new paradigm, all of the members potentially have access. And that's not to say that you have to do it that way. There are certainly clubs where only the treasurer is using the myIClub website and no members have access to it. And that is a valid way of working if you desire. But from the treasurer's perspective, it's often a little easier to have other members there who can print their own valuation statement each month. So the treasurer doesn't have to make copies, doesn't have to email things. So everyone can see all aspects of the business, and we'll talk more about those benefits. So if you do have questions, please type them into the questions box and we'll address them. But now we're going to turn the presentation over to Russell Malley, who's going to discuss some of the benefits of myIClub, some of the key features that really make it more advantageous for users. So Russell, please take it away.
Okay. Well, afternoon for me. So the thing is, the myIClub site is not just an accounting platform. It's really a club operations platform. So Club Accounting 3 was really entirely limited to investment club accounting. On myIClub.com, though, you have more powerful accounting tools, so you can take care of that. Portfolio management reports, much more than in Club Accounting 3. Graphs for portfolio management, like diversity by size and industry, those were not available. You can now also link your online S&G stock analysis tools to bring your judgment into some of these reports. And it also has club communication tools. So it's not just an accounting. So here's the landing page. This is one of our test clubs, and you can see this gives some brief description of club activity, a heat map of all of your holdings. Green means they're in making money. The size of the box indicates what part of the portfolio, percentage of the portfolio it is in. And we don't see it there, but if you go down to the bottom, the slide won't show it. At the very bottom of the landing page, there are a lot of nice educational links. So go to the next slide. So if you click on the accounting page after the landing, you get this. And this is a new thing. We have wizards. So any new treasurer, these wizards will walk you through step by step, ask you some questions. Do you have these transactions, yes or no? And then it will take you to the transaction pages to enter those if you have them. One we just saw, the pre-meeting wizard here. And then you see the steps for the post-meeting wizard. And you can see things that you can do: add new members, member deposits, enter new transactions. So you just click that next button and it takes you, after you answer the question, it takes you to the next step. Very easy, nice for new treasurers who don't have any experience. They don't know what's going on, what might be going on. Those take you through there. There are other useful links on this, that main accounting page. If you click on our nice ICLUBcentral logo, it gives you stock quotes and information on the company. If you click on the ticker symbol, it gives you the last year of transactions, starting with the most recent one and then going back 1 year. And if you click on the common stock, this one's mainly for administrators and treasurers. You can edit the security settings, give more information about the company. Like we just added the country because some foreign companies pay dividends, and you need to know the country now. The IRS would like to know that when you're getting foreign dividends. Okay, so when you get there, you see navigating, there are two ways. You see there's a left navigation column, and the transactions are put into 4 different categories: securities, members, cash accounts, and utilities. And in the left navigation column, not all of the possible transactions are shown. You just click on that more button at the bottom and we'll expand the options so you can see all of the possible, in this case, securities transactions that can go on. That's do the same thing for cash and member transactions. Now, there are some particularly tricky, complex transactions were very difficult to enter in Club Accounting 3. These distributions, especially by real estate investment trusts, while you enter them, usually they show as a dividend, but when you get your 1099 in February or so, you'll find that that's really was really a combination of dividends, return of capital, capital gains. You can edit those distribution screens now really easily, and add different types of income. So you can do them all in one screen. In Club Accounting 3, you would have to edit your original dividend entry and then enter new transactions, separate transactions for those other types of income. A particularly complex issue are mergers with cash, where the merger consideration, you get stock in the new company and some cash. Those can be done in one screen. You don't have to do extra calculations. In Club Accounting 3, you had to do some manual calculations and then had to enter at least 3 different transaction types. Those are all done. You only have to enter about 5 different things. A lot of the things are auto-entered from previous entries that you enter. So it makes it much easier to enter. What's more, it's also more accurate with the cost basis and gain calculations than in Club Accounting 3. And then you can also add your judgments from your stock selection guides to your portfolio reports. So you can do this. You have to have use the Better Investing Stock Selection Guide tools, the online tools. If you're doing that, you can just click link. You do that through there's your My Account on the landing page. We have instructions for you just click. There's a way to do BI link, and then you go to the reports, and you reports My Stock Watcher assignments, and it shows all of your stock watchers, and you see who it's assigned to. When you do your My Stock Watcher reports, you'll see a list of your stock watchers, the stocks you're watching, and a drop-down menu to link your stock selection guide to the reports. So there are multiple reports. The stock watcher, here we go again. So you can see, you click on that My Account next to your name. That opens a window. You click on that Establish BI link. You have to enter your BI login credentials. Don't use your myIClub credentials. Your myIClub login name and password won't work here. You have to enter the ones you use to log into the BI website. Next slide. And then finally, you go to My Assigned Stocks, and you'll see the list of stocks that you are following for the club. And that BI study, if you have done multiple stock selection guides on an individual company, you have to choose which one you want to link. So you just use that drop-down menu under the BI study to link to the one you want to be included in the portfolio reports on my iClub. And the last thing that I'm going to be covering is changing treasurers. This is really a snap. In Club Accounting 3, you had to get the install files to a new treasurer to install on a new one. You had to change who can go downloads on our, has access to the downloads. This way, you just go to the people section. The administrator clicks on the name. They go down to the member positions and permissions and just click that box, record accounting information and receive renewal notices. Then you do it for the same for the old treasurer and remove the checkbox. And now your treasurer is changed. It'll take you probably less than 5 minutes, and no reinstalling of the software and having to remember your serial number to be able to get the price downloads for your valuations. And I think Sean's going to be, we'll cover some questions here. And Sean's going to be taking over that. Sure. The question is, how many years does the Club Accounting go back in the Club Accounting 3 data? If you make an export file in your Club Accounting 3 data, that includes all of the transactions to the beginning of the club. Every single one of those transactions, they'll go back to the beginning of the club. I moved my club over about 5 years ago, and I'm solely using my iClub. My club's nearly 30 years old now, and our transactions go all the way back to 1993, the very first regular meeting of the club.
Yeah, we also see, is there any limit to the amount of holdings or portfolio value? If there is, we haven't run into it yet.
Yeah,
We've had clubs with
I've seen clubs
20 plus, 30 plus years worth of history. Has not been a problem as far as the site's concerned.
And as far as portfolio value, we've seen clubs multiple millions. I think the largest one I've ever seen is about 4.5, 5 million. So we don't see any issues so far.
Thank you, Russell. Before we turn it over to Sean, I wanted to point out that our SSG Plus, the SSG linkage that Russell covered, we have provided a quick start guide that has complete instructions, and that will be available in the file storage area of your myIClub club website once you get it set up. And so that has instructions for users and the administrators. It'll make a little more sense once you're using the site, but it's a really useful tool for portfolio management and the functions of running the club as opposed to the accounting functions. Before we turn it over to Sean, one more question. Jim asks, what file do you use to convert? So, well, I'll take that. We have an export format that from the Club Accounting 3 program, and Sean is going to cover that in just a minute, and that will export from Club Accounting 3. We can also import an XML file, given the right circumstances, into myIClub as well. Robert asks, will the cost be per user or per club? Will there be any prorated fees if several months remain in Club Accounting 3 maintenance? Yes, the subscription is per club, and there's no limit on the number of users or the number of transactions. So it's a one annual fee, and we'll cover the conversion. But yes, we will give you credit for your Club Accounting 3 maintenance towards your myIClub subscription, and you'll be able to continue to use your Club Accounting 3 at the same time while you are doing the conversion, working out, and getting comfortable with myIClub. So with that, let me go ahead and we'll turn it over to Sean now, who is going to cover the process of switching from Club Accounting 3 specifically to myiclub.com. So Sean?
All right. So right now there are two basic tracks you have for switching over. The first one, the one that we're encouraging folks to go with here, is what we call the Concierge Service that we're running at least through the end of September, where you'll fill in a little bit of information on our website, give us your name, club name, you'll send us a copy of your club accounting file, and we will take care of the setup from here. That's the address right there at the bottom of the page, the myiclub.com/switch to get started. That'll take you to this page. As I say, you put in, if you've got it handy, you put in your Accounting 3 serial number, club name. The main things we do need, though, your first name, last name, email, phone number. If you want us to give you a call, you'll see the tagline there, the upgrade to club accounting will be filled in automatically. It's up to you. If you want to leave it up to us to take care of it entirely, this is the page to go to. You put in any details if you've got any particular special requests, if you've got a login or a password that you're particularly fond of, let us know. We'll do our best to accommodate that. Again, that's optional. If you don't, we'll certainly set something up for you from here. So, however, if you don't want to do that, because let's face it, sometimes depending on the number of folks who send their files in, sometimes it may take us a little bit of time to get through. So if you want to do this on your own, you can certainly do that. You go to myiclub.com, click the sign up link there, and similar to that concierge page, you'll put in your name, email address, your username and password. And as we do note, if you're already in another club, or if you have a subscription to our investor advisory service or our Stock Central or any one of our other sites, you can skip past a good 2/3 of that creation, because you can just put in your existing login and password. Otherwise, as with so many sites these days, you'll go through a 2 or 3 steps there where you'll put in your login that you want, your password, your security question and answer, your club EIN, and so forth. So we'll get to that next part, which is, and most of you have probably seen this already. You've been using Accounting 3 for years. You're probably familiar with this, but just in case, you'll want to go up to the File menu, click Export. That'll open up a new window. And again, you've probably seen this thing before, the little gray box that appears. I think we're lagging a little bit there. Should be, there we go. The little gray box there, the export data. That'll create the data file there. Accounting 3 will remember the last place you made the backup to. So as long as you're not changing anything, you go ahead and click OK. And again, it'll make the same sort of backup file that, as I say, you've probably seen dozens, if not hundreds of times over the last few years. Once you've got that file, you can sign back into the myIClub. You can go in from the main accounting page near the bottom. As you see, you've got that utilities heading, and as Russell said, you'll want to look along the left-hand side, that navigation area. You'll click that Import Accounting Records, and that'll take you to a following page where, as I say, it'll give you the option to open up a window where you'll search on your computer to find that backup file. So usually, Doug, go ahead, skip ahead a little bit here, or skip ahead by one. There we go. So you'll see a window similar to this. Depending on your browser, where it says data file there, it might say browse, it might say find file. Regardless of the case, it'll be similar. You'll click that button. It'll open up a new window. You'll point it to wherever your backup file is. You give it a quick little double click, and it'll come back to this page. There's a check mark there for the import Social Security numbers. Now, as Doug will probably talk about a little bit more later, that's very much a personal preference. You do need to have the Social Security numbers in order to properly file the taxes, but that's something that can always be put in on the fly as you're working the taxes. So if you or the club don't exactly feel comfortable, you can certainly uncheck that box and take care of that later. Otherwise, you go ahead and click the import. The site will take, in most cases, about a minute or so. It'll read that file from off of your computer or your flash drive, and it'll copy everything over into your online accounting.
Well, thanks, Sean. That's a great overview. It really is very straightforward to bring your data from Club Accounting 3 over to myIClub, but we would encourage you to take advantage of the Concierge Service. Our team will take a look at the data. They'll do a little review, a little double check, a little health check, and can give you an idea if there's anything that you might need to do or adjust or correct or things that didn't look quite right. So we really encourage you to take advantage of that. And our team is converting lots of clubs on a weekly basis now as we wind down Club Accounting 3. So again, please feel free to use the questions box. I'm going to carry on. We're going to take a look now at setting up and inviting members to the myIClub website as a groupware type application. You get to decide who the members are who have access, and so we're going to review that process because this is something that you'll do once for each member of the club. We're going to talk about two different concepts here. One is adding a member to the club database, for instance, and those are all of the members who are in your Club Accounting 3 club. And we're going to talk about inviting those members to join the website. And so there's two different concepts. We're talking first about adding members to the database. Now, with the migration, when you're bringing the data over, importing the data, all of the members will be added as part of the process. But if at any point you are bringing new members into the club, you can add them from the People tab. That's where we manage all of the people-related transactions. So once a member is added, then you can credit them with transactions, with member deposits, member fees, member payments. If they're not added as a member, and there's no place to record their contribution. So similar process to Club Accounting 3 in that regard. So when you add the members on myIClub, you also will send an invitation to members, and this is what brings them back to the website to create their own usernames and passwords. So this is what the add member screen looks like for that you'll be using to invite to bring on board any new members in your club. You just need the name and the email address, and you can customize the text that goes out in that email. So the add member function, type in the names, send that, and then the members will get an email. Now, if you have members who have been added but don't have their usernames and passwords, then you're going to invite them to the website, and that's how they get access to create their username and password. So from the people page, in this case, we're going to send invitations from the left-hand navigation, and you're going to enter the email address for the member names. Now you'll see the difference here is the member names are already filled in. You're just going to add their email addresses. So that's something that you might need to collect if you don't have them already, email addresses for each user. Each user does need their own email address in order to be a member, but in these cases, and there's a question from Maureen where it's a family club where there are children in the club. Again, those children don't have to have access to the website if they're not participating as the adult members are. Then you wouldn't be required to have access to the website. So, but they could still be members, and the parents would still be able to see their accounts. So, in those cases, you wouldn't need to. When you log in, you're going to have a username and a password. So in theory, you could have multiple email addresses with different usernames, and you would just use the same, enter that same email address if you wanted to. If it's a husband and wife who each have accounts, but they share a single email address, for instance, then just use that same email address. They'll each get an invitation. They'll each be able to come back and create their own username and password tied to that email address. So once the email invitations are gone out, members have to accept the invitation. So there'll be instructions in the email, and they will come back to the website, create their username and password. And now invitations will expire if they're not accepted. So if that happens, the administrator can go back to the people page, can check the status of outstanding invitations, and can resend invitations if people didn't respond to them. Sometimes the invitations go astray, they go into a junk mail folder, they get ignored, they get forgotten, and so you have the capacity to resend that invitation. This is all covered, and then the process for new members who are signing up for the first time is covered in the new member quick start guide in the handouts tab. So there's a PDF. You could download that and email that to new members, and it also would be available in the file storage area. And that's a brand new document, so we'll be linking that at some point to the invitations that go out, so people would have more information about signing up. Now we talk about that people tab, and Russell showed you this, the member privileges as well, as part of the startup procedures. Once your data is imported, you're going to want to make sure that individuals have the appropriate privileges. We have done webinars where we cover these in depth. Russell mentioned the treasurer accounting duties, but there's also default privileges for all members, which are highlighted on this slide with asterisks, and these are the boxes that are checked for the default for all members. But you also have the ability to edit member profiles and permissions. This is separate from ejecting people from the club or inviting people to the club. So you might have a secretary who is responsible for editing and keeping everyone's addresses up to date. So they would have the ability to edit member profiles and make adjustments to their privileges. We have the ability to do online voting and stock watcher assignments. So that might be someone, the secretary or someone else might have access to that function. The message boards function as an email list to your club, and everything is archived on the website. So again, you might wish to have the secretary be responsible for managing that. You can create separate message boards that don't go to everyone. So you could have an executive committee message board for your officers. You could have a portfolio committee that has their own separate email list and message board on the website. And you can also control the file storage. So by default, everyone can upload files and download files, but nobody can delete files or create and delete folders unless they have specific privileges. And then finally, we have a calendar which can be synced with Google or Outlook or Apple iCal. And so you could have, again, who is creating the meeting schedule for the calendar. Could be the president, could be the secretary, the vice president. So you get to determine how it all works out, and you can modify it over time. So that's something that you would want to get started when you're getting members used to using the website, is setting up those member privileges. All right, so I don't see any questions here, so I'm going to turn it back over to Sean, who is going to describe all of the various ways that you can get help with myIClub if you need it.
All right, thanks. So first place is on the page itself. For a lot of the pages, as we're seeing an example here, when you're going to put in a dividend, we give a description of what's going on with that page, why you'd be here, what the transaction is for. I'll say also in multiple cases, again, as we see here, we have links out to other pages on the site. If there's if we think there's a chance that you might need to put in a different type of transaction. In this case, we've got the link out to that deductible expense. I will say also on a lot of the pages, and again, we're using the dividend here because it's a common one, you will see a "What's this?" link on the page. You click that, and it'll open up a separate, slightly smaller window that will go into a little more detail about what it is and why you'd want to enter this information. In this case, again, the ex-dividend date, and a little bit about why that's important. Now, also on that page, and several other pages, you will have a Find It link or something similar, which in many cases will take you to a company information page where we detail some of the ups and downs. You'll see on the larger page, we don't have it right here, but you'll get a little bit of a graph about the history of the company. And in this case, we focus on the fact that you can also click near the bottom to get a list of recent dividends, stock splits. You can go to a Stock Watcher report, even click that more research at ICLUBcentral to get a little more information. I say on top of that, and probably one of the biggest ones, is that every page on the site has a Help tab near the top right-hand corner. And while there might be one or two that we need to fill in or update a little bit, clicking Help from any page on the site will take you to a customized FAQ page. It'll open up brand new, so you won't lose your place on the myIClub site. But if you click on that Help, it'll give, or I should say, it'll open up a new page that'll go into a fairly large amount of detail in some cases about what that page is for, what you're doing, a little bit about how to use it. In fact, Doug, if you would, the next page there gives an example of the sort of thing you might see. This is, again, there are, gosh, probably a couple of hundred pages at this point. We add new ones on a fairly regular basis, add new, expand the ones that are already there. Almost anything you can think of to do on the myIClub site, you can find on this iclub.com/FAQ. And again, the way the pages are set up, if you're on the myIClub, you click that Help link, this will open up an entirely new window. So you don't have to worry about clicking the back button, going back too far, not going back far enough. You'll always be able to just switch from one window to the next. Speaking of which, we've also added over recent history in the file storage. We have a whole section, the free resources from myIClub. highlighted those down at the bottom here. The Starting an Investment Club, the user guide, the year-end audit process. I will say the user guide is one that we're working on a fairly significant update for, as far as a to Z using myIClub. If for some reason you like to have a file open up separate instead of the web pages, I know myself, probably growing up on the internet, I find it pretty convenient to use a website. But if not, you can certainly come here. We have a wealth of information, and I will say, it's a question we get fairly often. The documents here do not take up any of the space that the club has available to it, that every club has a certain amount of space for the files. The ones that we put in there under that free resources do not take up any of that space, so you don't have to worry about whether you're suddenly going to run out of space to upload meeting minutes or the stock studies that you want to share with the rest of the club. I'll say now, if you, for some reason, if you don't find the answer in any of those guides or on the FAQ site, you can, beg pardon, you can always send us a support request. So that's opening up a new window or a new tab, going to www.iclub.com. You'll click the support tab near the top. That'll take you to this page. You click that big old envelope on the right-hand side. There will be a couple of steps and pages following that, but the general gist is you will fill in which product, in this case, probably myIClub. You give us whatever details you can, you click submit, and myself or one of the other team will pick that request up, and we'll be able to take a look, do our best to answer. I will say, it's not on the slide here, but one question that folks do have on a regular basis is, how much do you need to tell us about the question that you have? And I will say, keep in mind, because it's a website, we do have access, if you're okay, to take a look at the club records. So you don't need to worry about if you have a question on your valuation, or if you have a question on the journal report for the members, you don't have to necessarily send us a screenshot. Just when you write in, just say, I have a question on this report. I'm looking at these dates. Can you please tell me or help me out to figure out what I'm looking at here? So again, that's something that you can do. If you're okay with it, just tell us in the support ticket, let us know, and we can take a look at the club records for you directly. I will say also a little bit more recently, we've started moving a lot of our previous webinars wholesale over to YouTube. Doug's face all over YouTube is a good sign there. We've got years worth of webinars on running an investment club, best practices. We go through every year. We walk you through closing the books. We walk you through doing the taxes. We walk you through running your club meetings month to month. It is, again, a very good resource. If you've got the time, I would say take a look through that list of webinars there. Again, there's a lot of information there that would probably answer most of the questions you might run into about the general use of myIClub, and also just the general topic of how to run an investment club. And if all else fails, as it says, give us a call. If you've got something that's just a quick question, or if you're not quite sure how to describe the issue, which we run into before. Sometimes you get the statement from the broker and all the words are in English, but the order and their use just does not make a lick of sense. That's just fine. You give us a call, 9:30 to 6 Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. It's 877-334-2582. You'll get myself, Treva, one of the other member service folks at the Better Investing. I hesitate to say HQ because so many of us are still working from home, but you'll get us no matter where we are in the country. We will do our best to answer your question. And I think, my goodness, well, that's about all I've got, Doug. I don't see any other questions coming up there.
Thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sean, and thank you, Russell. I want to applaud Sean and Russell for the job they do on the support team, assisting all of the users of myIClub. You may have run into them using Club Accounting 3 in the past, but the team does a great job at responding to problems and helping clubs and helping treasurers when they run into difficulties. And as Sean pointed out, that's a key benefit of myIClub is that you don't need to send us your data to take a look. If you give us the permission, we can go in, look at your transactions and spot the potential problems, and it just expedites things significantly. So Jay asks if this webinar will be on the web later. Yes, and we'll be archiving this in the next day or so. It'll probably be available, and we'll post a notice on iClub.com and myIClub about the location of it, the link, but it'll be over on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/iClubcentral, where you can view that replay and slow it down and pause it and take notes. And if you do have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us. One of the benefits, another one of the great benefits of myIClub is that we're able to incorporate user feedback fairly regularly. So we'll get user suggestions saying, on this report, it would be really useful if we could subtotal it by security and not just show it by date range. And that's something that we can do. So we take a look at those suggestions and are able to roll out changes pretty frequently. And over the course of the years, we have improved the program quite a bit and added functionality and ease of use. And we're continuing to. So please, if you do have suggestions or if there were parts of the process of converting that threw you for a loop and you think could be improved, please do let us know. You can send me an email at gerlach@iclub.com.